Listen, there's somebody I want you to meet, and her name is Angela O'Dwyer. It's yourself. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Your late husband was a chief superintendent.
Correct, that's right.
But
Here in the depot, he was commandant of the depot.
Right.
And afterwards he went to the country, and we lived in Marlborough, Portlaoise, and then in Monaghan.
Somebody told me at one stage there was £1,000 price in his head.
There was.
It's a strange qualification for a chief superintendent.
During the trouble days.
Oh, right.
When the Tans were here, they searched Kilkenny, all Kilkenny to find them, raided many houses, and he foiled them all. And then he joined the force. He joined the army first, and he took over Kilkenny military barracks. And my brother went in as quartermaster.
Well, you weren't making tea for the Black and Tans yourself at the time?
No.
What were you doing?
I was at home housekeeping with my mother.
But you also come to Mon.
And come them on, yeah.
Right.
From 1919 to 1922. And that finished the coming on.
Sure.
And my commandant, by the way, is a Dublin woman now. She lives in Blackrock.
Really?
Helen Fottrell. Mrs. Helen Fottrell, she's a widow. And she lives in Castleknock.
Well, you must... there's a friend of mine, actually, I mentioned his name before in the programme, it was Frank Robbins. He saw you coming in here. He said, I know that woman from somewhere. His father was old Frank Robbins of the Citizens' Army and so on. And he recognised you coming in today.
Is that a fact?
I'm told that you knew Michael Collins.
I did. I got the first pay from Michael Collins that the Gardaí ever drew. They were in Newbridge, and they were there for 3 months, and they got no pay. And the shopkeepers were getting grumpy and disheartened, and they wanted their wages for all the food they were giving them in the barracks.
Sure.
And my husband tried to get Mrs. Cummins from the Railway Hotel in Newbridge to come up with her to Dublin.
What was your husband's first name?
George.
George O'Dwyer.
George O'Dwyer.
Sorry.
And so she wouldn't go, and then he asked the daughter. She was about 19 or 20, and she wouldn't go. And then he fell on me. He said, would you come to Dublin? I'd love to, said I. And that's how I met Michael Collins. And we went to the Department of Agriculture in Merrion Square. And the military had the windows all sandbanked. The Free State Army.
Sure.
And we knocked on the particular door, and the sergeant opened the door and let us in. And then we asked, could we see Michael Collins? Now, Michael Collins could be in Wolfe Street. He could be in Fairview. He could be any place. He changed his digs every night.
Really?
Yeah. He was never in the same place twice. So he went upstairs, and he inquired, knocked at the door, and a voice answered, come in, and it was Michael Collins. All
right, Angela, I'm going to stop you there, because on Thursday, I'm going to start off, and I'm going to ask you a wee bit more about that meeting. Well, we've come to the end of the programme there. I want to find out about your medals, and I want to talk to you further.
Yes,
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, folk from Salt Hill. You join us again on Thursday. Make a point of it. Looking good. Same time, Thursday. It's all right. It's worth a double trip to you to come back. All right. Meantime, a very good afternoon to you. Cheers. If you were watching on Tuesday, you'll know that our audience, mostly from Salt Hill, Galway City, and I was speaking at the end of the programme to a lady called Angela O'Dwyer. She was come to Mon, and she was telling us about a visit that she made to Dublin to collect pay for the Gardaí at the time, and she had a meeting with Michael Collins. Now, we ran out of time, and we left the interview at the point where she was practically knocking at the door saying, will you come out and make Collins?
No,
right.
I said, when I went in, he said, who have I here? And I said, my name is O'Dwyer. I am Mrs. O'Dwyer, George's wife. He knew George, and he shook hands with me, and he said, can I help you? And I said, you certainly can. I want some money to pay the Gardaí in Newbridge and Kildare. They haven't got any pay, and they're leaving, going out on the mountainside. They had cleared out. a mutiny.
Really?
They started the mutiny in 1923 and cleared early. Now that was in May, and they went out onto the hills around
Because they weren't getting any money.
Loughlin Bridge, because they weren't paid,
Right.
and they had no money to pay for their groceries.
What did Collins say to that?
He said, "Wait a moment and I'll see what I can do." And he opened the trunk, and big black trunk, and he had a lot of paper bags, and I saw him putting in paper bags into a cardboard box. And now he said, "Where have you the car?" And I said, "Outside the door, in government buildings." So he said, "I'll take the box down for you." So he carried the box down the stairs, and I got into the front under orders to sit there in that spot, and he took the cardboard box out of his arms and put it in on my knee. And I said, "If we're held up, what am I going to do?" He said, "Well, if they're gentlemen, tell them you have ladies unmentionables and they won't, they won't go down." It was a brown box, like a blouse box.
And what was in it?
The money,
How much?
40, right now, 45,000 pounds. And that was to pay the men in Kildare, in Newbridge.
You know, you could have brought the Irish state to its knees if you'd simply headed for Las Vegas.
Clear to America.
Tell me this, was Collins as handsome a man as they always
He
say?
was.
And
He was small and stoutish,
really?
but a charmer.
Yeah.
A
It's
very
nice to know that
charming
people
man.
can be sort of stout and good looking, you know? I tell you a little story. I was in America about 2 months ago now,
Saw you on the paper.
Grant. And you know one of the
On
things
television I saw you.
That's right. One of the things I brought with me to the States was an exact replica of Michael Collins's uniform, which was made in a factory here in Ireland, which is actually Fianna Fáil owned. And it was made with great respect and great attention to detail, and it was for a play based on Michael Collins's life.
Yes.
But that's one incident that they don't have in the play, I tell you, the
They haven't,
£45,000. Just before we move on, what are the medals?
Come na man.
Come to Man medals.
This is the Come na man
Yes.
medal. And this is 50 years afterwards. That's the Come na man. And this is the 50 years afterwards. 1971, 1921, 1971.
And who presented those medals?
The Department of Defence
Very good. Very good. Angela,
sent them to me.
it has been lovely talking to you. If I have
Thank
a
you.
chance, I would have talked to you again.
Well,
Maybe
when we
not
meet
the-
in Galway.
When we meet in Galway. I look forward to it. Angela O'Dwyer, I don't know if you're any relation at all to Anne O'Dwyer, are you?
No, I don't think so, but I know Anne.
Well, I tell you what,
And
she's
I think
waiting.
she knows me.
Well, she's waiting over there at the piano with her requests. Ladies and gentlemen, Anne O'Dwyer.
Indeed, I do know Angela. No, I think we're from a different branch of the O'Dwyer clan.